So you all know that I love wood cases, and honestly, I actually own one, and it kind of led me to this quick little video on actually a wood case tier list. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do this yet. So what we're gonna be doing today is going over 15 of the most popular wood cases. Now I did some looking on Amazon and Newegg and a couple other places, and there are some wood cases out there like from John's Bow and stuff that are like $200. We're not looking at those today because honestly, I haven't taken a look at them in person and they are very expensive. We're taking a look at the ones from Fractal, Antec, Okinos, you name it. We pretty much got all of them in here. So how we're gonna be rating all of these cases today, all 15 of these. We're gonna be going over the price, the build quality, just the overall value proposition, of course what they come included with, whether it's RGB fans, no RGB fans, and then of course just overall value proposition, whether or not it's a recommended case for me. And again, this is of course subjective. It is my complete opinion. So I may be a little biased here because I own one of these, and overall you can take that with a grain of salt. If you like this video, be sure to drop a like because I did put some extra bit of time into this one. So hope you all enjoy. Let's get into the case reviews. So we're gonna be starting off with Fractal. Now, obviously we're gonna be starting off with the Fractal North, the one that started it all. And overall, I pretty much have to say the Fractal North to me, it's really close, but I think for just the overall price to performance, the what you get out of the full package, I personally think it's S tier. Now, do I think it become an S plus tier case if they remove that black panel on the side and remove the tinted glass? Absolutely, but that is all small things that I was willing to kind of eat as a negative for the case and what you get for it. You get two 140 mil fans up front. Obviously you get tempered glass, and you also have options for mesh as well. So if you wanted a bit of a different option in terms of the aesthetics, you can do that. You want a little more airflow. And on that mesh panel variant, you can also mount fans on the side for even more airflow. Also with the price point coming in around $100, give or take, depending on when you want to look for it, it is definitely a very compelling case. And I definitely love the fact that it has those little gold accents on the black version, and then on the white version you have that more natural colored wood with some silver accents. I just think those small touches make the case a perfect, subtle, like mature, nice looking case, and I honestly love how it looks with my setup. The Fractal North is the case that I own, and I absolutely love it. The only thing I would change with it, especially right now, is the tinted tempered glass side panel. I want to see my nice parts inside of it, and you still can with some RGB, but overall you can't see too much inside. But again, it's a pro or a con for some people. Not the end of the world, but that's the only thing that I don't love about the case. The S tier rating will basically just apply to the Fractal North and the North XL, although I kind of am more impartial to the regular North. ATX size cases are honestly big enough for me anyways. And if you really, really want a large case, you can get the North XL, but I personally think in terms of size and what you really need for like 90% of components out there, the regular North is just fine. Next up, we're gonna be talking about the Terra, and the Terra to me is an A tier case. In terms of ITX cases, the Terra is a pretty awesome case for the price. It is a little expensive, it's $179, but it's got that nice subtle wood tone to it. And in terms of ITX case styling, build quality, and just overall ease of use to build in, it is pretty up there. The only downside with the Terra is that you can't use an AIO inside of it, and I think if they added that in, it would become a more superior case. I know that cases out there like the Forum T1 that Optimum reviews a lot, and other cases that are making it to the market now with a little more versatility and usability inside, just make this Fractal Terra not as good of a case in terms of getting the most absolute monster performing hardware inside, just because of the fact that it has some limiting factors with, you know, cooling solutions and adjustability. It does have that adjustment on the middle of it to kind of account for motherboard sizing and cooler sizing compared to GPU. I'd like to see them come out with a new version and maybe see if they have some kind of AIO support with it down the road, because then you could put in some really nice CPUs and adequately cool them. One more thing to note about the Terra is that it has 3 color options. It has the jade green, which is what you see on the screen there. You have the white and silverish color scheme, and then you have the black. All 3 colors are bangers. I think they're all fantastic options. You can't really go wrong with them. I've seen all 3 in person. I think my 2 favorites are gonna be the jade and the black, but again, it's just personal preference. Keeping up the Fractal train, we have the Fractal Era 2. And for me, the Fractal Era 2, we actually haven't even seen this in person yet here at the Toasty Bros office, so I can't really say that it's like I have too much experience with the case itself, but based on reviews and of just the flat out price point that I see these at normally, I'm gonna put it in B tier. I think it's still a great looking case, and it's definitely a more unique style with, you know, the weird cutouts for the ventilation on the side, and then also like that nice slat in the middle. I think it's a fantastic looking case, but I just don't know how usable it is for the average consumer. It's a $200 case, and with how much it offers for you for the performance, it isn't really recommended, but I still think it's a nice option if you're looking for a nice premium case that has a nice design to it. Honestly, the more I talk about it, I think I'm actually moving down to C tier, just because I would probably just rather go up to like the Terra or something else. Not a bad case by any means, but just given the performance for the price and the reviews that I saw, top. It's a good looking case, but it may not be worth it for most people. We're gonna be talking about the Antec Flux and Flux Pro. And honestly, Flux Pro, Flux are fantastic cases. I've seen both of them in person. I gotta put them in S tier, especially the Flux, kind of the same deal with the Flux Pro, with the North XL. But the Antec Flux, in terms of its styling, I think is fantastic. It has that really cool design on the front panel, and then overall, it's nice because it just has a small hint of wood in the front, so it doesn't really overdo it with the wood. In terms of airflow, it's a fantastic airflow case. It's got ventilation on the side, the back, and you also have a couple fans included in the front, I believe. With the Flux Pro, you have even more fans included, including like a reverse plate on the bottom. Although the only downside with the Flux Pro for me is just how big and heavy it is. Again, if you don't really care about that kind of stuff, you just want a massive case that can fit anything. Flux Pro is great, but the Flux to me, I think is like the sweet spot for ATX tower cases. On top of that, it's also very well priced. It's around $100, $110. And if you can find the white or the black version, I think both are great pickup options. And you can even put some RGB in this one. I don't think it looked too out of place. So Flux Pro, fantastic cases, highly regarded by a lot of case reviewers on YouTube, so I don't think you'll have any issues with picking this case up or having any QC issues or anything like that. So definitely a good case you should consider. Keeping the Antec train going, we're gonna be going with the Antec C8. Now, Antec C8, I'm probably gonna put it up in like the high C tier. Overall, I think the problem that I have with the C8 is just like most other fish tank cases on the market, and honestly, I am starting to get really sick and tired of fish tank cases, especially ones that just don't really lack any personality or creativity. Yeah, you can argue that the wood panel on the side is creativity and uniqueness in the fish tank market, but honestly, I still don't really think that the fish tank and wood grain PC trend kind of match and mesh together, honestly. I feel like if you're wanting a wood grain PC case, it doesn't really make sense to go with like a fish tank design. I feel like it's more of a mature, traditional styled case, and this one just doesn't really, do it for me, honestly. It's $129. Right now, they're really not even really in stock on Amazon, and I think just overall with the fact that it also, I don't know if it even comes with fans or not. Fans not included for the $129. That's just kind of a poor value, honestly. Actually, I was gonna say that about the basic C8. The basic C8's $129. I don't know if the C8 wood even has a price right now on Amazon. So C8 wood, in terms of build quality, it's good. I've actually done a repair on one recently here, and no issues there. It's very spacious. It has a lot of upgradability in terms of throwing in tons of fans, tons of airflow if you really wanted to, and it displays your parts nicely, but it just doesn't really reinvent the wheel at all, and it doesn't really do anything for me. So C tier for the price, it just makes sense for me. It's not a bad case by any means. You're not gonna have any problems picking it up, but I just don't really see the value proposition for me, at least. We're gonna wrap things back around to kind of like a Fractal North kind of case. It technically is the Fractal North, but it's been modified by a company. This is the Ironside PC case, and I'm gonna probably put it in B tier, probably like low B tier. This is a Fractal North. It has been modified by a company. We actually had someone come in with a custom build recently, and she had us build this PC, and it has basically the Fractal North chassis, but they take the side panel and they basically make a custom, like stained glass, kind of more traditional style panel to it, and I think it looks really cool. The modified version of this Ironside case is a little more expensive than the Fractal North. And we're on Ironside's website. It's called the Eden's Veil. Yeah, it's a limited edition case. It comes in white or black, and then you can kind of see, I'll have it on the screen here right now. You can see that it has like the colored like leaves and stuff like that on it. I think it looks really sweet. Yeah, and you have some other options as well in terms of like if you wanted a specific color on the case. They're like $300, and that's just a lot, guys. And it's just kind of a lot. It's really cool. I think it's really, really awesome if you have the money for it and you really want to ball out on like the Fractal North design and you want some kind of pizzazz in your side panel, but it's just a little expensive. Okay, moving on to Okinos. And Okinos is definitely one of the new competitors in the PC case market. If you've watched any budget build on the planet in the last like 6 months, you know the Okinos Aqua 3. It's the most popular micro ATX case right now that tons of people are using that comes in white or black, but it is not a wood grain PC case. However, they've been pumping out cases recently, and we're gonna be talking about 2 today in this video. Next up, we have the Okinos Cypress 7. Now, this is a case that we recently actually reviewed here on the channel. They sent one in for us for review, and we built in it, and I was very impressed with the build quality for the price, what you get with it, and overall just the value proposition for this case. Now, like the Flux Pro, it's similar in styling and performance. It's got 3 120s, it's got ventilation on the side there, and it also has options for 360mm radiator up top, 2 120mm fans on the side next to the motherboard, which is pretty interesting to see, and got a lot of room, and it definitely pairs nicely with like an all black build or just even some minimal RGB looks, I think it does a great job at doing what it's supposed to. And for the price, that's where it really comes in. $86 with fans pre-installed. That's also 4 pre-installed fans. There's one in the back as well, PWM, tempered glass side panel. It really just doesn't get much better than that. And again, I like the minimal looking PC cases. This one knocks it out of the park. I think it does a great job at what it does. And you can't go wrong with Okinos. They've been putting out a lot of great cases here, and I think you won't have any issues with building it either. Continuing on with Okinos though, we have the Mirage 7. And this is similar, it's almost identical actually to the Antec C8 wood, except this one actually does go in and out of stock more regularly. This one is gonna be $99. Right now you can get it actually with a $5 coupon, and this one does have 4 ARGB fans pre-installed, unlike the C8. So with that being said, actually, I just put it in C tier. We're gonna be moving it up to low B tier. Again, this one is just better priced, so there's more value to it in my eyes. You get 4 pre-installed ARGB fans. You have a cheaper price point and very similar aesthetics, room to build in and build quality. So really the Mirage 7 is a better option compared to the Antec, but if you want the Antec name, you want a more reputable source and just a reputable case builder, Antec's good, but I think the Mirage 7 just does it all just a little bit better for the price. Next up, we're gonna be talking about the Sama V Nature. This is a great option for a lot of people that also want a more budget-oriented wood grain PC case. I think this is a fantastic case because we actually also built in this recently at Toasty Bros, and I got to take a look at it at PC Bros. This is a really nice, just really well-built case for the price. It's $99, you get 4 pre-installed ARGB fans. Setting them to orange really sets it off, and I think it looks awesome. Pair it up with some like minimal RGB stuff on the inside, and it does build a really nice PC. Overall, the wood is a bit of a different color compared to that normal darker wood, so it has a bit of a nicer, lighter tone to it, and airflow is pretty good. It has some good ventilation up front. Sama's been pretty decent for budget case options. Their Q5's been really popular. This one definitely kind of matches with that popularity and just overall build quality. Keeping the train rolling here, we have the Gooii Mini ITX acrylic PC case. That's pretty much where it's gonna be going, D tier, acrylic. This thing was a pain in the rear end to build. We actually did this for a video, cheapest ITX build possible. This is a very cheap, like burnt wood looking PC case, and the acrylic was a pain to use. The instructions were awful. The assembly process was horrible, and it just doesn't look good, just straight up. It doesn't fit any large parts, and there's really nothing that's going on for it. Yeah, it's fun to do like a experimental video with it, and it was cool to see how it turned out, but I just think the build quality is just abysmal, and it's just not worth it. Just save up some money and buy a better case. Next up, we'll be talking about the Lian Li Dan A3, very similar to the Fractal North slats on the front here. Lian Li M3, we actually built in this a couple times, I think about 2 times, one of which being the wood grain PC case. I actually ordered it myself for build. This one is actually a pretty solid price because I think it comes in around $89. Let me confirm that real quick. Yeah, $89 for the white or black version. Same deal, kind of natural colored looking wood on the white version, black on the regular. Only downside with this one is that it doesn't come with any fans. It can fit large GPUs, which is a nice benefit since it's very long. It's a micro ATX build form factor, so it is also more on the cheaper side compared to like an ITX build. So if you were looking for that small form factor case, kind of like the Asus Prime AP201 or some other small slim cases like this is a great option. It's from Lian Li, it's reputable. Although the only downside with the Lian Li one is that it is kind of tight in there, especially if you're using like a non-modular power supply, or if you're using even a modular power supply, but you got some longer cables, and sometimes with it being a very slim back panel, it can be really hard to cable manage, and sometimes it's not as beginner friendly for builders. I also just wish that they came out with a tempered glass version, because there is only really mesh available on Amazon right now for this case, and that just kind of sucks because I want to see my parts. You know, some people don't really care for that, but I personally like to see my parts, and that kind of takes a couple notches back in the aesthetics department. With all that being said, I'm gonna put it in the high C tier. I think there's no problem with the case, but unless you're really looking for that form factor and size, I don't see there being a reason to buy compared to the other cases on the list. Okay, next up is the APNX V1. And this is a new case to the market. This is actually fairly new. I watched a Gear Seekers video on this build myself, and this is a case that basically takes what the H6 from NZXT did, with the H6 Flow having that kind of diagonal fan intake on the side. They basically just put the wood slat panels on the back side there, and they also did a cool design with the top panel where it kind of follows that trend of that diagonal lines and then kind of went off to the side. I've done a build in the APNX C1, I think. That was their first case they released, and I also used a couple of their parts. And of the aesthetic companies on the market, they are pretty nice. I have no issues with their build quality whenever we built in it. They're nice and heavy, well powder coated parts. Their cases are pretty solid, and they have some pretty good prices too. Their tower coolers are pretty cheap, and even their cases are fairly priced. Like the C1 is $99. The V1 is $119, depending on what kind of options you go with it. You can do black and white, black, just straight up white. And if you want the wood front panel, like what we're talking about today, that is gonna be $139. So it is up there in terms of the pricing, but you can fit a lot of fans in it. It doesn't come with any fans, but you know, if you're spending that much kind of money on a PC case, sometimes that's not a big deal. With that being said, I'm gonna put it in like the high B tier. I think it's a great option for an ATX case, but again, I haven't really taken a look at it myself. I would like to plan to build in it soon, and I probably will. It's a popular, somewhat fish tank kind of style case with a twist, and I think it's a nice little touch of wood without overdoing it. I wanted to add one more note about the Antec C8. Now, there's actually an Antec C8 curved, which is $150, and it has basically the exact same chassis as the Antec C8, but it has a curved corner, and I think that is $149. That honestly is a little better opportunity for you to get into an Antec case, and it has a bit of a twist to it, kind of like the King 95 Pro with that curved glass, and that, honestly, for the $149 makes it a little more compelling than the regular C8, which I also can't really find right now. $149 for the C8 curved makes a little more sense, and that might be more of an option for some of you guys to consider, because it does take a little bit of a twist. Next up, we're gonna be talking about the Corsair 4000D frame. This is an unreleased case actually, but it's actually right over there. We have the regular 4000D frame over there right now. And Corsair's 4000D frame series basically takes the 4000D, which everyone loves, and it takes the 4000 name and then just allows you to customize it to your own liking. You can put like an LCD screen on the bottom there, and you can put options for like 4 different front panels on there, which definitely adds a bit of customization to it. Obviously, it's probably gonna be a sold separately accessory, which you have to spend more money on, so it's kind of a downside. And overall, the 4000 is a popular case that a lot of people know and love. Only downside with this one, and like most 4000 cases have, it's a tinted tempered glass side panel, which I don't really love. But this one does seem pretty nice because it is modular. Downside though is that basement that I've seen in person, it kind of cuts off, and you can kind of see the power supply basement just in its entirety. And I wish they kind of kept that going a little further out. I don't know if it's because of the modularity of the case or not, but I think it's going to be a good option. I just am a little worried about the price. I'm assuming with it being the 4000 case though, it'll probably be around somewhere around like $100 to $120. And if the front panel options, like the wood grain one that we have here, aren't too expensive, it might be a really good option for you. And I do like the square wood kind of look to it. It's definitely unique. I like to see that. I'll put it up in like low B tier right now because I don't know too much about it just yet. And I do want to know if how expensive those front panels cost, because that could totally change the answer. All right, we're probably gonna cut this part out, but there's one more that I have left on this list, and I actually kind of forgot the name. So I've seen it used in a couple builds online, but I think it's around the $80 price point. It comes with like 3 pre-installed fans or 4 pre-installed fans, around 80 bucks. It's not a bad option if you can find it on Amazon, but even through the looks of Amazon, I can't find it available, so it may not be available. We're gonna throw it in like C tier, nothing special. I don't really like the front panel design, to be honest. I'd rather just go for the North, especially with the North coming down in price. So it's going in C tier. But we're not done just yet, guys, I'm sorry. There's one here on the list that did not make it on my PNG list. I downloaded the PNG, it's not here, but that's gonna be the Corsair 2500X and 6500X. Now, with the 2500X and the 6500X, you have a couple options in terms of sizing. 2500 is gonna be micro ATX, 6500 is gonna be the ATX case, and I will just say, I'm not the biggest fan of new Corsair cases. They honestly just feel kind of cheap for the price that they're charging for them. Of course, none of them really come with RGB fans or anything like that pre-installed unless you pay extra for the RGB versions. And the 2500X, we're gonna take a look at it on Amazon right now. It is kind of expensive for what it is, to be honest. And it is a micro ATX case, which I'm all for micro ATX cases on the market. Believe me, I love when I see those options because a lot of people don't really make those cases right now. We can see here on Amazon right now, the 2500X in its base form is $134.99. It's pretty solid, I will say. It is an overall heavy, more well-built case right now with this one. It's a little gimmicky, honestly. The grommets on the side, just the design language on the Corsair. I just feel like it's a very deep case. I know a lot of fish tank cases are very deep, but it just almost doesn't feel right being that deep for Micro ATX. I feel like they could have gone just a little slimmer, but they wanted to add in a little bit more of that like aluminum kind of field on the side panel. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but I just think for how many parts are on this case, it just definitely has a couple issues where some of the case panels don't line up all the way, and to me, it's just a bit awkward. The chamber where those fans mount on the very back are really deep, and I just don't think they really need to be that deep, honestly. I think they could have gotten away with a slightly different dimension case. Again, this is very, very nitpicky, but same thing with the 2500X and the 6500X. I just don't think they're really all that valuable. I just feel like in terms of, because you also have to buy the wood kit, which is even more expensive and it's even more money. So it's hard to recommend these Corsair cases overall because of all the extra purchases you have to make to get the wood panels. When you look on Amazon and you can find these pre-set up wood grain themed PC cases that are cheaper, are gonna have a little bit better airflow, and they're gonna just be a little easier to work in. So that's pretty much the consensus on those. If I'm putting them on the tier list somewhere, I'll probably put them in low C tier, almost D tier, because I'm never gonna use them, and I never would really recommend anyone else use them, because unlike the 4000D and like their more popular previous cases, they just don't make too much sense right now. Whew. Okay guys, that was a lot of talking, but I think I'm pretty much done for the tier list here. You can kind of see the end result here. Of course, you probably already saw it coming with the Fractal North being an S tier, Antec Flux being an S tier, great options. Pretty confident of this tier list, honestly. I don't really think I'd change anything else right now. I would like to experiment in a couple more of these cases here, like the APNX V1. I am really interested to see how nice it is to build in, and if it's maybe worth the A tier position. Again, price point, value proposition, maybe not so much, but I think this is a pretty solid tier list. And wood grain PC cases are kind of one of those fads right now where they're really popular, like the fish tank design, and it's kind of up in the air if they're gonna stick or not. I still love mine, but I'm happy with this list. So hope you all enjoyed. Please leave a like down below if you found some value out of this list. I put a little bit extra time into it, so I'd appreciate it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.